This has got to make the edits, isn't it?
Are we off? Come then, Gav.
You introduce us.
Oh, you're doing the budget motors.
I thought you were going to say welcome to In the Stiffs.
Welcome to In the Stiffs. Sponsored by Budget. Well, let's keep it going. Welcome to In the Stiffs, sponsored by Budget Motors, the best car dealership in Shropshire. Gav, do you want to give us the address? Gav, aka Google Maps.
Featherbed Lane in Shrewsbury, Stafford Park in Telford. Yeah, really privileged to be able to call Budging our motors, our sponsors for... Shall we start again?
No, let's keep it going.
Right, okay.
I'm not starting again. I haven't got time. I've got to get
Hashtag
done.
amateurs.
You've been late, Gav. Just keep going. Series 2.
We're very thankful to call them our sponsors for Series 2.
What cars do they do, Gav?
Citroen,
Do Teslas.
Renault. They do Teslas. You're
Anything
in for a
you
new
want.
Tesla.
Do
Mini buses. I've just had a mini bus off them.
Do you a great deal. You need to mention In the Stiffs when you go there.
They do you great. Oh, they've swindled me. They've had me right
Mention
over.
the Stiffs and you'll get a discount.
Yeah, no, we're really lucky. I've just been speaking to them about a car as well, so hopefully they will do me a good deal. I'll find out tomorrow.
Love it. Right, lads. Hello. Welcome to another episode. Thursday night, isn't it? It's a bit of a new night for us. When did we used to do them?
Every night of the week at one point.
Every night.
We chased our tails a bit, weren't we?
The last episode was Ryan Lowe. Went down the storm, that, didn't it? You've had good feedback, Dave, haven't you?
I really enjoyed it. I listened to it properly for the first. I trust Wits of the editing, so I just wait for it to come out on the Tuesday morning and listen to it for the first time. And I really enjoyed it then. Everyone I spoke to, all my mates and lads at Bala I speak to who listen to the podcast, they all said it was their best one. So a lot of them are Scousers, though.
Yeah, they stick together. The Scousers. Look, it's gone down the storm in Liverpool, hasn't it?
Can't do it.
When we look at the numbers, they'll all be from Liverpool. What about though the best line of it all? Ryan, he was a bit blasé about it. He was. I used to have a sunbed shop called Tannereef.
he didn't break his sentence, did he? Just carried on.
It didn't register. I was like, repeat that, Ryan. Repeat that. No, it was great.
Only in Liverpool.
What a story that is, though, from Bursko to where he's at now, isn't it? Amazing story.
I think that's been the biggest bit of feedback for me is like that people are just so amazed at the story that he's had from playing at Bursko all the way through as a player and then now as a manager he's excelling.
I think he's relatable as well, isn't he?
Oh,
people can look at him and say
so
that's
good with people.
That could be anyone. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's not privileged at all in terms of starting on with a career already. Do you know what I mean? He's had to work hard for every single step he's made up that pyramid. And then go into management on top of that and then be successful. That's
a big part of his success. He's very good with people, isn't he?
Oh, he's a genuine person.
Yeah.
There's never any nastiness, never any sneakiness. I mean, he's probably, as players, some of his players might disagree with that over the years, but I say, he's really open, really honest, just a good lad, real genuine lad.
And after obviously doing a recce in here, nothing was stolen either by the time. Not to generalise, of course, but get a bit of hate.
So by the way, I don't know what the numbers are, but if you get 3,000 downloads for an episode, you're in the top 1%. Like we've smashed that on nearly all of our episodes, haven't we? So we are literally, I know we're number 2 in Uganda, but we're in the top 1% of podcasts.
That's a new T-shirt, isn't it?
Yeah. Definitely.
The top 1%.
Please still like, share, subscribe. All those things.
Let's not get complacent.
Yeah.
Pass it to all your mates.
And it's easy, isn't it? Like loads of my mates have, when you go on it as well on the platforms, whether it be Spotify, you can listen to it without downloading it. We need people to download, don't we?
Can you?
Yeah, for it to be reflective.
We've probably got more people than that.
I would have thought so. But yeah, if people could download as well as just obviously listen to it on their Wi-Fi.
And subscribe so they get those little notifications.
You know what though? You know what I'm worried about? Because obviously when the awards start coming, if it's great if it's just a podcast award, but if they start doing individual awards, it's going to be it's going to be awkward, isn't it?
Yeah, and I don't know.
Two, I want you two there though, clapping your arse.
No,
and obviously I'll get you.
Will you collect the award? You'll do that on our behalf.
Dave, I think Dave will have to do that.
Yeah, 1,000,000%.
Get that.
And as well,
Dave will be more polished. Me and you'll be at the bar.
We'll be like a Liam Gallagher, won't we? Get up there, just be total chaos.
You say me and Sam and me and Gav will be more like best supporting.
Yeah. Like there might be like a best supporting act, and like you two will come up and like you come third.
And this week, and this year's winner is from In the Stiff, Sam Aston, brilliant. Number 2, Under the Cosh. Number 3, Gavin and Dave.
Yeah, but we're gonna stay together, aren't we? I mean, we'll do
jokes aside. You do jokes aside though. He'd do that to us.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
No holds barred, mate. No holds barred with him.
I wouldn't do that.
I have had in my bag, I've had for a long time now, my resignation letter of my current workplace. So this needs to take off because I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go, but not quite yet.
Right, tonight we're going to talk about our first days at the clubs, because it can be tough that first day. Just bearing in mind the children go back to school, and my school's a lot of nerves and everybody's a bit anxious, and people put up their new pictures of their youngsters starting school. It's a difficult first day. I don't know what. So we'll start with you, Dave. Your first. So Shrewsbury would have been your first day. Let's talk about being a professional. Not talking about your first day going in there. What about your first day walking into Shrewsbury?
First day training with the first team.
I think that's
when you're in and around your mates, so the age group you come through. I was probably like that for 4 or 5 months, but the first time training with the first team, yeah, it's petrifying. You're so nervous, and even during that training session, you're thinking, I'm not sure if I'm cut out for this, because
so you're doubting yourself.
Yeah, because I'm feeling this nervous for a training session. So how on earth, being on a football field in front of 4,000 or 5,000 at the Gay Meadow, that would never enter my mind. I think that's almost unachievable. I always believe in myself, but the pressure which comes with that, and you don't realise how you can deal with that pressure until it actually comes. But first day, I remember all the lads, because being a first year YTS, back then you had a first year, second year, third year. So you had the third years who would have been 19 years old, right, yeah. And they'd have had a couple of years of training around the first team. You hear stories, and as always, you do not want to be on Nigel Jemson's team. That was always it, because he will
is that because if you make
a mistake,
wrong,
he will batter you. Right. Doesn't matter how old you are, doesn't matter if it's your first day, doesn't matter if you're 35, he will get on your case if you're not having a good day. And that's what
was that because he was a perfectionist or because he was a deflector?
I didn't know him well enough. You'll know better than me.
He wasn't a deflector. He wasn't a deflector like that. I just don't know whether he's a particularly nice person.
I relate it now to what, say, a Craig Bellamy would have been like.
Right.
Looking back, if I was a 16-year-old and then having to train with Craig Bellamy, it would be horrendous.
I think for me though, with lads like that, and having played with loads of lads like that, it can be taken out of context. Like when we speak about that now, and we're like, he's like ruthless no matter what age you are. But I think actually the culture then, especially a little bit old school, they were very demanding, weren't they? And they wanted to win everything. Whether it was a five-a-side in training or on a Saturday, they were very demanding. And I think when you say it now, it sounds a little bit like he was a bit harsh. And I suppose it was, but not as bad as what we're making out. I think in his head, in that environment, it would have probably been accepted.
In his head, it'd be confined to the football pitch. So once you get off the football pitch, you're a normal bloke, you chat to him. But I remember about that first day, there was 2 or 3 of us training, a few second years, me and another first year YT, and they needed some extra numbers. We were doing this game where you was like, you got put into teams. Luckily, I wasn't on Gemma's team. One of the other lads was. And you were put in a box. You're all in 4 corners, maybe like 30, 40 yards away from each corner. And you had to clip the ball into the corner into like a 10-yard square. Then you had to keep it up before you could play the next one. No. And Gemmo was losing his head at people.
So training that.
So a skill game would be the absolute worst because you're nervous about keeping up and things. But that was my standout memory. But so you get used to it then, and you just get on with it, don't you, as you train more and more, and then you realise you have to deal with those sorts of stuff if you are going to make it, and then you have to kind of make or break.
Yeah, because there's no way around it. You can't go over it. You can't go through it. Like, you have to deal with that, don't you? Yeah. And it will come to everyone.
It'd be great to get James on at some point, wouldn't it? Because he'd be funny, and he is a good lad, isn't he? Despite what I just said. But he would argue, he'd say, well, if you want to come and play in this team, you don't get a pass just because of your age. You're going to come and play in this 11 with lads who are 20, 25, 30, 35.
We heard it about Gerrard, didn't we? Test you out on the first day. You've heard Peter Crouch talk about it. Connor Cody spoke about it. He will test you to see if you're good enough and you can handle it on that first day.
But that Wayne Rooney, I think we probably mentioned it on here. Wayne Rooney, that first day when he was training with Everton, he was like, I knew it was the best player. Yeah. And he's like, I'm 16. Everybody 16. But that's why obviously he was the player he was.
Well, Roy Keane's a big one, isn't he?
Yeah, Roy Keane is exactly the same.
And what you would argue is as well, if you don't come through that, you regard them probably as really harsh and too far, and that you shouldn't be doing that to young kids. But if you come through that stands you in good stead, doesn't it? I mean, we'll all say here, your YTS, like certainly my YTS, at the time, a large parts of it I did not enjoy. But when I look back now, I realise it was a making of me as a person. Yeah. So I think.
Do you know what though? The problem is, it depends on you. If Jemson's doing that because he's thinking about you playing, but a lot of lads do, not just in football, in work. So I find that, like with teachers, if not my current school, obviously. But if someone's struggling, people like someone else to be struggling because it takes the pressure off yourself. So if you're one of the young lads and another young lad comes across and suddenly he's getting the stick, it's survival, isn't it? So someone else who's under pressure more than you. So it depends on the purpose, why they're calling them out. Why is Jemson calling them out? When Jemson wouldn't be doing that. He would call them out probably for standards because he wasn't particularly nice. But there'd be other young lads probably who were a year or two older than you who were probably like, oof, thank goodness it's not me he's having to go at. He's having to go at Dave, thank goodness.
Yeah. But you look at someone like a Roy Keane, I don't think he would ever do it because you've got too many lads in that group are clued up, aren't they? He's doing that for standards, isn't he? Because he wants to win.
Yeah.
And like, so
and that's what Bellamy was like, standards. Right. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
I want this training session to be that good. I'm going to give my all. I'm going to treat it like it's a game. Yeah. I'm going to make sure I'm ready for the training session. I'm going to perform in it. If you lads aren't going to do that, I'm going to call you out on it.
So first day, demand and pressure.
Yeah.
Demand from a training perspective.
As you move through your career then, and you've got a reputation from the club you've been at, it's different than being a YTS, but once you've been sold or you move on, then that's a completely different type of pressure, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
What about when Dave signs for Bala? He turns up in a Tesla first day, beeping the horn. Gets out in a white Armani suit.
Shouts, "It's all right, peasants. I'm here.
I'm here. You're all right, lads. Gets out. Lad comes over and goes to shake his hand. Dave gives him a 50. You're talking about them skill games, Dave. Obviously, when I signed for Sunderland, and I didn't do an apprenticeship at all because I stayed at school and did A-levels. So I went straight in as a pro. And straight away, it was like the skill games, which obviously, like you two will probably agree, that's not really my bag. I was on Peter Reid's team, and there was like teams of 6. And like there's teams of 6, so it was me, Peter Reid, I can't remember who else it was, but like, you know, Andy Melville was one, you know, the Welsh lad. I can't remember who else, so a couple of other lads. And my God, I was petrified. And it was little races, like keeping the ball up over the cones, passing it back, then like under over, passing the ball through, going round, clipping the ball up, and having to keep it up on the full. And I wouldn't.
Your niche in time.
I was like average at my school team like 2 months earlier doing stuff like that. Oh, and he was started off like, "Hi son, are you all right? Now what's your name?" I was like, "Sam." And then afterwards he was like fuming. Come on you. Yeah. And at the end of the session, everybody had to pick one of their players to keep the ball up for the longest for the and the last person who, like, that was the first person who dropped the ball had to wear like the big yellow coat for like the next day's training. Yeah. So straight away they said, "Pick your worst player of the day." Peter Reid's going, "That's you, Sam." I'm 18, I'm going, "Oh no." So I've had to start keeping the ball up. Like, there was about 7 of us keeping the ball up. Remember Brett Angel, big centre forward? Yeah. He's kept it up about 4 and dropped it. Like, thank goodness. And everybody's hammered him, and I just sort of like skulked off away. But I remember that night, it was the same sort of thing the next day.
Did you get 5 then, did you?
Yeah, I think he got 5. And
that must have been a record.
I think I got 5 over a space of about 300 yards. So I think I'd gone 2 pitches down there. But I remember that night, like, panicking about it, like thinking, "Oh no!" I was desperate to get into the games, desperate. And then we did the same thing again. Then we got into the games, and like I was in the games
for 11v11.
Yeah. I mean 11v11. I was ripping it up, and I was like, "Hey, you are, gaffer." But yeah, it was horrible. We had a head tennis competition because he loved head tennis as well, and I was like, especially at the start, I was terrible at head tennis because I'd missed out on that apprenticeship. Where all that ball working, I just never had it. Head tennis. It was another time. This was a bit later, and all the names got drawn out of the hat, and it was like Peter Reid with me, and he was like, "Oh." And he's fuming, but we never ended up having
confidence
it.
Boost, yeah. When your manager goes, "Oh,
I ended up. I don't know what happened. He mustn't have been in, but I ended up playing with Darius Kubicki. And in the end, like, it was like 2 touch, but Darius in the end would just keep it up and head it back himself. Like, he just wasn't involved in me at all.
All the shouts, innit? Are we doing transfers? Are we doing transfers? Is the window open? Yeah.
I remember getting hammered, and like you'd be genuinely nervous coming into training, and the same as what you're saying about Jemson or Craig Bellamy. I was like, not on the Gaffer's team, like surely not, because he was like Peter Reid as well was like ruthless. He just didn't care,
and he was a player obviously as well.
Yeah, so and he was like, it was his thing, like, you know, he's quite good at keeping the ball up and all that. When I got to 11 aside, though, I used to run past them for fun and that.
Of course,
See you, Gaffer. Who's laughing now?
And the players as well, like, depending on how you come in, like the players can play a part as well in making your first training session tough. I remember going, when I signed for Canvey, they bought me, and on the same day they signed another lad called Ollie Buquez. And we got there, but it was January, so it was snowing, and because it was snowing, I think they'd sourced like an old school AstroTurf. So they're going, oh, we're going to do a circle.
Grass burns everywhere.
Yeah, shocking, yeah. But they were like, oh, we're going to do a circle. Now, unbeknownst to me, that I learnt this over the next 2 or 3 years I was there, but the circle ended up being 45 minutes of the session. Like Glenn Pennyfather was the assistant, like loved it. Yeah. And it went on, it was like, you know, bopping everywhere, bouncing everywhere. It's brilliant tempo. But me and Ollie knew nothing about this. So they've gone, right, 2 new lads in the middle. So I'm like, brilliant. But they do this every week. And they were basically, if you get 10, you're in for another one.
Yeah.
So if you get another 10, you're in for 2. So then if you get the ball back, you're only in for 1.
You're in again.
Oh my days. Look, mate, we're in there for about half an hour.
Practice the way it's just practice.
But I still didn't click on, and they were going. Basically, we're staying in there, and we didn't have a clue what was going on. And like the first training session, I looked up and they're all laughing. I was like, they've obviously you know, planned it. And
they're bopping it, and then you're that tired from chasing it. You finally win it and go to the outside, and you can't keep it.
No, you can't keep,
Who have we signed here? Who are these 2?
You stretch out, one goes through your legs. There we go. And it's like,
Cowan, he's terrible. He's not going to play.
Who have we signed here? Who are these 2?
How much are they getting paid? Cowan.
Oh mate, it was. Yeah, it's
ruthless,
like when the lads start making it tough, you're like, come on, lads, flipping it. It's going to be hard enough as it is.
I tell you what must have been tough though, Dave, signing for Wolves, because like Shrewsbury's one thing, isn't it? And but like you're going into Wolves, like you're thinking.
Yeah, I had Luton in between, which was a bit more professional, a bit better standard.
So all right, sorry, yeah.
But then Wolves was a huge eye opener for me.
Talk us through your first day then.
So I actually signed on the Friday, and I went to the training ground.
How old?
22.
And the train Compton, where they
Compton, yeah. So it was a new training ground, only just been built about the year before. Yeah, it's lovely. And so I signed on the Friday afternoon, so there was no way I was going to train, and the game was on the Saturday. I wasn't going to be involved. It's my first training session on the Monday, but I went on the Friday, watched training. They got like a boardroom in the training ground which overlooks the training pitch. So I'm in there. I think this place is amazing. I got showed around when all the lads were kind of out training. Just blown away by the place. I'd gone from Shrewsbury, which was just the hut at the time, wasn't it? Yeah. Then to Luton, who had like...
Don't knock the hut, Dave. I love that place. Some good poached eggs and beans in there.
To then, and obviously like all your own kit and stuff like that, washing all your own kit. Then went to Luton, which I thought was amazing at the time, but they had a new training ground, which was porter cabins, and it served a purpose, basically. Then you go to Wolves, and it's like a brand new training ground, massive, pitches immaculate, and I'm stood in the boardroom at the training ground overlooking training, watching the drills they're doing before the game. I remember just sat there waiting for Mick McCarthy to come in, and then he walks in, and obviously that's such a huge name, big character,
and his voice probably,
and his voice as well, and it's a bit like oh, wow, this is it. Do you know what I mean? I've made it. I got Mick McCarthy coming to meet me in the boardroom. We chatted.
That voice can't be real of his, that deep, like northern, right? Is that?
He does it. Yeah, until he loses it, which is like once every 3 weeks. Right, and he goes. But
it's the biggest booming voice in the world, isn't it?
Yeah. It's not nice when you know when he's got an edge to it as well, and you know you're in trouble.
Yeah.
But so I did that. I watched the game on the Saturday. So it was a long build up for me then to go into the Monday morning, knowing I was training. They lost 3-0 at home on the Saturday.
You're thinking,
yeah,
that's a touch, though, isn't it?
They lost 3. I remember they lost 3-0 at home to Crystal Palace. Watched the game again.
Don't worry, lads. I'm here. Relax. I'll see you.
But I turned up at the match, the stadium. I was like, wow, this is incredible. They took me up to the boardroom, all that sort of stuff.
You didn't go on the pitch and clap?
No, sat in the director's box. It hadn't been announced until the Saturday or till the Sunday maybe after the game. But I'd been up in the director's box, just blown away by the whole place. And then Monday morning, it's like, right, I've had all the nice stuff. Now it's business. And the standing training compared to what I was used to was so fast. And it was like a noticeable step up. Pitches were immaculate. Yeah. This was in January as well. So
no excuses, is there on that pitch?
There's nothing. And I'm thinking, my game's all about...
No bobbles there, is there?
You're nervous though?
Yeah, really nervous.
Intimidated?
Yeah.
We've spoke a lot, haven't we? We've spoke a lot about this, about imposter syndrome.
I was that, mate, for about 6 months, mate.
Just give us a bit of an idea then how you dealt with that, because you've got to wear a little bit of a mask, haven't you? And we've spoke a lot about this off air, but go on, how did you deal with that then?
I don't know, you just have to, don't you? I kind of kept myself to myself in terms of I've never been a loud sort of lad anyway. You get lads who come in who are like, try and be like, settle themselves in with a big voice and stuff. I was never that. We were lucky we had a real young dressing room, all very similar to my age. Mick had brought in lower league players who were 21, 22, trying to get to that next level of the Premier League. But I didn't know anyone, so I kind of adjusted slowly. I didn't know one player, but then because
that's rare, isn't it?
But you know everyone though, because they're obviously
you
big
know
names.
who they are,
Yeah,
but
so
you
are.
haven't got an ally, you haven't got a mate
Yeah.
on the first day. You go and sit like the school, and you have a buddy, or you go and sit next to someone who you know, and you go, "Hey mate, I haven't seen you for a bit."
And
You
they-
know one at all.
And they just carry themselves different as well. You find that as you go up the leagues, and money has a big part to do it. Like I pull into the training ground, and the cars are like, wow. Do you know what I mean? Every car's like.
What were you driving when you pulled into Wolves?
I had a Mini. Yeah,
That's not cool, is it?
I was buzzing with it at the time. Buzzing at the time.
Yeah, but are the
yeah.
lads driving minis at the time there? Were they like professional?
Yeah, I think
Top
young pros will,
footballers.
weren't they? I think the new minis had just come out.
There wasn't many. This wasn't the new one. This wasn't the new one.
Maybe we weren't driving them up the northeast.
No,
mate.
no.
Minis.
Didn't buy Joe's off him, did you?
But yes, then we got in. So everyone, and I just felt that it wasn't like going to dressing room at Shrewsbury where everyone's just having a go at each other, but banter. Do you know what I mean? And you're there 15 minutes before you go out to train. The lads are in an hour and a half earlier. They're doing gym sessions. They're doing everything to get themselves right. Keep themselves a lot more. But the actual training session, I was just desperate, like it would be a game, just desperate to get a few passes away and for them not to think I'm shit. Do you know what I mean? That's all you want to do. Is like, didn't want to show everyone how good I was, but I prefer to have not looked bad rather than look amazing, if that makes sense. I was more concerned about not
embarrassing
being,
yourself.
So I was really nervous, but kind of got on with it.
And you do that, don't you? But it's like that's the sort of football element of it. You're trying to just sort of stay under the radar, and you do that in the changing room off the pitch as well, don't you? Like you don't want to go in there all guns blazing, like you know.
Quite loud when you first come.
Yeah, a couple of times, but you don't want to sort of go in and try and have the banter too much. You want to ease your way in, and then obviously they get you singing and doing all of that sort of stuff at some point. That's sort of you're in then, isn't it?
Yeah.
And then you'll always get your respect from playing, won't you?
I always talk about getting chances and taking them and being in the right place, right time. And with Wolves, I was hugely lucky, fortunate. I think you've got to be ready for the opportunities. But I trained that full week, and I remember we played Scunthorpe away. We hadn't won in 7, so that Mick was going to change the team around. He pulled me on the walk before the game, says, "You're starting today, Dave." So I was like, "Oh my God, starting the championship. This is mental." Do you know what I mean? And I think it helped that we're playing Scunthorpe, which isn't really a championship ground. Do you know what I mean? It's more of a League 1, League 2 ground. I played them loads of time. I made my Shrewsbury debut against Scunthorpe.
That was
I played
0-0 at home, wasn't it?
I know it's when we'd been relegated. We lost 2-1 the last game of the season. That was.
I didn't play in that.
Yeah. So we played away at their place, and I scored after 6 minutes. Do you know what I mean? So just everything just settled the nerves.
Wow.
20 minutes, I set up Silvan Ebanks Blake 2-0 up.
Yes.
So goal and assist first day, 1-2-0, and I was like, saviours here.
So all you've got to do, you've got through the first 10 minutes, goal assist, you've got to think to yourself,
assist.
80 minutes here,
But then confidence then is just flowing through your veins. You feel you're invincible. And then obviously turn up to train on the Monday, the fans say, "Oh, what a player we signed." Do you know what I mean? Just off the back of...
But even the lads are like, "Morning, mate, all right."
Yeah.
But you walk in on Monday and you feel $1 million.
Compared to the Monday before when how nervous I was.
But
Confidence changed so quickly.
Everything, isn't it?
Everything's
that
confidence.
success needs so much confidence, motivation, everything.
Yeah.
Mate, let me tell you about... So obviously when I was at Sunderland, I went on loan to Stoke. Great set of lads. Gary Megson was there. Do you know Gary Megson, Dave?
Yeah.
Knob. like a bit
How'd you get on with him then?
Well, he's just like, he's one of them, like, and he's like, he's little, like, skinny, pale, ginger, like, just obviously didn't like me because I was like proper good looking curly hair, and that's his bit.
Yeah, just a
clash.
clash.
No, he was all right, but yeah, he was just, I didn't really like him. Then I went on to Chester. So obviously I was only 20 when I went to Chester, and they were like proper seasoned lads, like 25, 30. So like they've obviously having like the first day, they sort of say this kid from Sunderland. So Dave Flitcroft's like in the car with me, and he said, come with us, Sam, in the car. So I'm like, oh, he's a kind man, thank you for that. Yeah, and he's like, must be a bit nervous. Oh, yeah, I am a little bit, Dave. I'm a little bit nervous. So he's in the car asking, like, with his couple of the other lads. He's like, hey, it'd be great, you know, you come from Sunderland and that. Yeah, played in the Premier League. Yeah. And he goes, how much would, you know, it'd be great if we could sign you permanently. Like, how much do you think you'd worth? Because you must be worth quite a bit and all that now. So I'm just like, you know, he's just sucking me in, isn't he? Yeah. I've gone, I don't know. I mean, you could probably get me for something. I don't know, probably like 500,000. So I've given it that, right? He's gone, yeah. I mean, that'd be a good deal. £500,000. I mean, we don't. I mean, obviously we're Chester City, so we don't really pay £500,000. But if we get someone like, obviously, I literally haven't kicked a ball yet. I'm saying this in the car to train. So I've gone out there, and he's like, as soon as we got the car, hey lads. He's gone, lads, gather round. Let me tell you about the new lad. £500,000 I've got. Yeah, I've got £500,000 sitting in my car, and he's just like slaughtered me in front of everybody. And like, I got on brilliant with him. But I just thought I learned a little lesson there as well. I thought I've been a little bit naive there. He's absolutely served me up there.
Brilliant.
The boys will try and get you, won't they, from time to time? But it's It is funny when you first like going in the changing room and that. When I signed for Shrewsbury, I was lucky because Ben Smith, we sort of had mutual friends, and I knew his brother quite well. I used to play with him and against him when we were younger, so that was quite nice walking in there and just having someone to go.
You got an ally.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever signed anywhere where I've not. I think probably when I went out on loan to Nuneaton was probably the only time.
You wouldn't know anybody when you signed for Shrewsbury, would you?
Ben Smith, yeah.
Oh, is that what you just talked about?
Literally a minute. We're not in a.
I was listening, Gav.
We're not in a goldfish bowl, are we?
Not the keeper.
Sam just switches off when you speak.
Yeah, Ben Smith.
Yeah.
Because when I signed for Shrewsbury...
There's two Ben Smiths. There's two Ben Smiths, isn't there?
Well, when I signed for Shrewsbury, Ben Smith was in the change room.
There's two Ben Smiths in there.
Yeah, Ben Smith the keeper. He's in Dubai at the moment.
Both of them knew him.
You do both, you both Ben Smiths.
But Ben Smith wasn't there, so...
If you're called Ben Smith, there's a 95% chance you'll know Gav Cowan. I did the thing with Chester as well. I know people always tell this way, but I genuinely did that. I took my training kit off after training and put it on the middle of the dressing room floor.
No.
I did that as well. So
that was the bad thing coming from Shrewsbury.
Yeah. But that's something else you learn as well, don't you? I've seen loads of young lads do that. Like, what do we do with the kit? Like, take it home and wash it, mate. Oh, right.
Yeah. Like you, Gav, when you signed for Shrewsbury, do you know anyone?
Well, now you say it, there was Ben Smith, not the keeper.
We've already mentioned that. We had mentioned that episode one. I remember Gav coming down the corner though. I mean, is it worth mentioning? So anybody who didn't hear the first episode, when Gav come around the corner, he had well, we didn't know whether it was blonde highlights or ginger highlights, but I was guessing blonde highlights. So I thought you wouldn't have gone the other way.
Whatever it worked. Whatever it was, it worked.
So dripping in fake tan. He was dripping off his fingers.
Mate, he exaggerates this so much.
He was wearing,
because don't forget, he was really good looking with curly hair. I don't know what's happened since, but
he had a crucifix round his neck that was about 12
never
inches.
ever. That's never happened. I've never worn those roses ever.
And he was wearing a white vest. Cream trousers and a pair of sandals.
You definitely had a pair of loafers on with no socks, and he walked past, and I was like, so this was outside the. I said this story before, and I was stood outside the treatment room at the stadium. You walk around the corner with like some tight fitting chinos or something on, no socks and loafers. I thought Gary Peters ain't having him.
Yeah,
no chance.
What you've got to remember is, Dave, like, I was coming from down south. I was well ahead of the game.
10 years ahead of your time.
When I was wearing Converse, everyone was hammering me. A month later, they were all wearing them. Do you know what I mean?
The trailblazer, weren't you?
Do you know what I mean? Ahead of the game.
I wouldn't mind. I'm giving it the big, and 3 months later, I was walking around wearing a crucifix with fake tan on as well.
Some people used to call me a pioneer, Dave, to be honest. No, I remember coming in. I remember
you're saying about being nervous. Like,
how did you feel?
Go on. Because I wouldn't have said you come across as nervous.
No.
Maybe you weren't like, not nervous, but
you're coming into full time.
100%. Yeah, no, I'd been full time. I had been full time. Canvey had gone full time, and I'd obviously been at Exeter previously, so I'd sort of come out of it. I was really one of the fortunate ones to be in it, to come out of it, to go in it again, and that was, a story in itself. But the truth is, absolutely petrified.
Yeah.
And without knowing it now, I understand what the term is, but it's like feeling that fear. And I'm in the Lord Hill the night before, and I've had my medical.
But you're saying, just quickly, your coping strategy was different to Dave's. Yours was like,
get on the front foot.
And I remember you winking, "Hey lads, you all right, baby," being proper loud, and everybody's like,
again,
wow.
I didn't wink, but no, I know what you mean. Like,
He did wink. He winked.
For the purposes of the audio, it's an absolute ridiculous exaggeration. But you're right though. I was absolutely, like, petrified is the wrong word, but full of fear. And the way I just felt is, it's a little bit like, someone brilliant told me this years ago, like, it's like karaoke, isn't it? If someone's terrible at karaoke, but they go up there genuinely believing they're good, everyone looks at them and cringes, and everyone wants to run away. If someone's terrible at karaoke and they just own it, everyone joins in, no matter how bad you are. And I just thought, you know what? Go in there I tried to get the balance without being a knobhead, which it probably was more of at the time. I wanted just to let the lads know that, look, I'm here. I deserve to be here, otherwise I wouldn't be here. So I'm going to, again, a little bit of imposter syndrome. I'm going to come here, I'm going to make the most of it, and I'm just going to show the lads that I'm at ease and I'm comfortable, even if inside I wasn't. And then I suppose it's a little bit of trying to give yourself the confidence as well, and it's like a mental thing. I'm trying to tell myself constantly, you've just got to feel the fear, do it anyway, get in there, get amongst the lads, they'll be all right, like, they'll like you, trust yourself. And then we started training. And I remember we did a keep ball thing, and like Sam, who's brilliant at the time, as I've gone to turn out, has just flipping flattened me. And again, I remember being there, and obviously all the lads are like, whoa, and all this. Sam's like, come from nowhere, bang. Obviously, again, with the aim of going, new lad, we'll show him what we're all about, of course. But then part of my nature is to go, brilliant, jump up again. Yeah. Right, I'm chasing after him, and I'm going to like chase after him as well. And I'm not, if someone wants to do that next time, I'm going to make sure I'm ready for it because I got caught on. And then I suppose it's just this mental thing that I've always had to be sort of like almost try to fight everything anyway, you know.
Were you a good age? Were you a better age because you're a bit older?
Yeah. I think I was 22 when I went.
So yeah, you think the difference being at 22 is because you've got a bit more about you than when you're 18, 19, 20. I think you've been around a little bit more, and you probably had a bit more self-confidence.
And I'd been sort of I'd been a part of a brilliant changing room, and I was probably one of 2 or 3 that were sort of like the changing room clowns. So when it was just flowing, and like you could go in there and have the banter, and no one really wanted to come for you because you always had a comeback, and you're always quite witty. So I always felt quite confident with that, but in height, you look back at now, and I just hope I got the balance because it was good because obviously it worked well, didn't it?
Because there's 2 things in there. You've got to get on with the lads in the changing room in terms of like your banter and that, haven't you? And you've got to be able to handle yourself, and then you've got to perform, haven't you? There's 2 different things. Now, if you're doing one of them, you'll be all right. If you've got banter but you're not playing particularly well, the lads will still like you.
Yeah, I had to do it, Dave, because of shit.
yeah. But if you're like a bit of a nugget, but you're performing, the lads will sort of put up with you because you're getting them like results, aren't you? So they'll go, he's a bit of a dick, but he's just won us the game on Saturday. So if you got both, perfect. If you got neither, you're done, aren't you?
Yeah, of course.
If you come in and you
don't offer anything.
Yeah, if you come in the first couple of weeks and you're not offering anything, and you're not even particularly mixing with the lads, and you're not getting involved, and you're either a bit aloof or you're a bit rude, or even unfortunately in football, even if it's just a bit quiet, really. Yeah. If you don't really speak and you're not performing, it's like, can't be bothered with you. Like, you literally, what you bring to the table, why are you here?
Yeah.
You're not enhancing the team. You're not enhancing our lives.
And I make you right a little bit because I was a little bit older looking back now. I think because I was a little bit older, it helped me because I'd probably been through a couple of scenarios where I'd gone in and gone, right, I need to hit the ground running from a training perspective, and don't be too quiet because the lads won't have anything to do with you. And then I remember years later, funny enough, I think I did a talk in front of a primary school. I remember like you were there, and it was like 400 kids in a primary school. I remember you saying to me after, flipping heck, mate, you've done brilliant there. And seemingly when you get up there, you're like, morning everyone, how are you? And everyone thinks, oh, you breezed that. But inside I was thinking, flipping, I'm panicking, the stomach's turning over, and it sets you in good stead, doesn't it? So I suppose in hindsight, being 22, 23, it did help me going to Shrewsbury and being able to act like that.
Yeah. Mate, tell us about, what was the club where everybody, you have like, what do you call it when you have to do a performance, don't you? Initiation.
Yeah.
Tell us about your Dutch accent, Gavin van der Kouwen.
So no, yeah, when you'd always have to do like funny things, wouldn't you? So you have to sing and stuff like that. Yeah. It was more so the opening, the day. I remember, I think I was at Braintree at the time, and I'd signed on the Friday. But it was a lads' night out on the Saturday. So straight away, I'd signed on the Friday.
Which is as daft as that sounds, it's a good way of getting involved with the lads, isn't it? And
massively.
And if you're like what you are, if you're loud on a night out, it's a good way of everybody going like, he's all right, he is. Because if you're funny and you've got banter and you have a good night out,
you're
going to be all right.
I did this thing where we'd be on a night out and I'd do it as a joke, but if we'd speak to any girls or anything, of course, I'd speak in the Netherlands. And of course, yes, I have signed, how do you say in England? Loan. I've signed on loan, of course, at the club, the football club from the town centre. And so I'd speak like this. And
apologies to any Dutch listeners.
So then the lads would start calling me Gavin van der Kouwen. So obviously, as soon as I'd done that on the first night out, one of the lads was like, what did you just say there? And he's overheard me. And then I was like, obviously, you're doing it again. And then you're doing it in the kebab house at the end of the night.
Who time you played for? Was it? It wasn't PSV Eindhoven, but it was
Feyenoord. Yeah, I signed for Feyenoord. And
on loan at Braintree.
On loan at Braintree.
Everybody used to buy in.
Braintree town. Braintree. And I'd do all of that.
He did it at Braintree. He still did that while we were out in Bridge North.
Yeah, 1,000,000%. But I remember we'd been doing it all season. So we got promoted that season. It was a brilliant year. Some brilliant characters, loads of ex-pros. But I got Player of the Year. So at the end of the obviously the awards, they basically said, Player of the Year, Gavin Cowan. So I've come up, And obviously everyone's clapping and that, and you wait for the clapping to die down. And I just went, just like to thank the supporters, of course. And obviously the supporters are like going,
what's he doing?
What's he doing? But the players obviously all on one table just creasing up. And I was going, just like to thank David Culverhouse, Terry of the Howard. Thank you so much. I now must catch the flight back now to Amsterdam, of course, and like just be doing that. So yeah, all of them. But like you say, it was a night out. And Gavin van der Cowen was born on my second day, and we'd won on that Saturday. And then you go on and like it becomes a theme. And
you're in.
Confidence is through the roof.
You're in because then you go and train on Monday and you've had a laugh, and suddenly the lads are going, mate, how are you? All right, Gavin van der Cowen, have a bit of banter, and straight away you're in there, and that helps your football, doesn't it? As well, you play better from that. Yeah. When I came on to Shrewsbury on loan, didn't I? The first time. I had a black Celica, like Knight Rider, thought I was the absolute nut. Like, it was like Dave's Tesla, but 3 times better. So I was proper having myself.
3 times louder.
It was amazing. Remember Lee Steele, centre forward as well? I stopped at his house one night and literally I thought he's doing it for banter. He put on all his video, a video of all his goals. I was like, and he started to show me them. I was like, mate, he's another Flickcroft one. He just winding me up. Yeah, and he's like, just showed me all his goals.
Where he wants his crosses.
It was the longest drive. I remember coming from Newcastle. It was like Shrewsbury, so I flew down to Manchester, and it said 42 miles to Shrewsbury, but I was just driving everywhere. I remember like ringing home, going, "Flipping, I am miles away here." I was just seeing sheep and hills and all that. I thought, like, where I am, like, I am literally South Wales here. I've got like I don't know where I am. Everybody was speaking like they were Welsh. I was like, all right, Sammy, morn. All right, lad. And half 9 training, like, oh, morn. I was like, where am I? Yeah, what is going on?
And you haven't been home since.
Yeah. That was 25 years ago.
I honestly, right, when I came down for my medical, I remember, because where the old Gay Meadow was, it's a weird system, that, isn't it? You have to go under the railway bridge and whatever. Okay. So as you come under it and you turn right to go into and then left into the Gay Meadow, I'd gone over the English bridge. So I got sucked into the town centre. And genuinely, I was actually due to sign for Notts County, and then Shrewsbury came in and offered money before the end of the season because Gary Peters wanted to get it done. And I was like, right, well, I'll go and have a little look. And I just thought, I was like, where is Shrewsbury? And they were like, it's near Birmingham somewhere. I was like, right, okay, I'll go up there. And then I went over the English bridge, got sucked up, and I just thought, right, this is obviously a one-way system. And honestly, I got on the phone to my mum straight away, and I was just like, if I pass this medical, I'm signing here. And she was like, really? I was like, listen, if this goes well, I'm never leaving this place. It is absolutely stunning. And she was like, really? I was like, just driving all the way through the town. And I just literally like made up my own mind of how I could get back. Just went through and then come past the train station and up the hill again.
Best place in the world, mate.
Yeah, but Gav's come from Essex. He's buzzing again. I'm from Newcastle. Like, it was a tough sell for me. I signed on loan again. I was like, oh yeah, going on.
I was like, no wonder you caught the plane out of there.
It's a difficult one to ask you, Dave, because that was it, wasn't it? Really, you've only who else was it? What was your first day?
I had Luton and Reading.
Reading, yeah. Go on, sorry. Talk me through
Luton was a funny one because I remember the first day I was in, I'd been signed through the summer. First day of pre-season, we was just in a college doing fitness testing. I think we were down at in Hertfordshire somewhere, and it was where Wasps train maybe. But anyway, we were doing our fitness test there, and straight away I'm trying to eye up which players I'm going to be competing with, as you do everywhere. You're trying to find out who the centre midfielders are. And all I've got to go, and back then there wasn't social media, not even Google or anything like that really that I was using. So I didn't know any of the players at all, didn't know what positions they played. So I've kind of saw 2 lads with, one had squad number 6 on his shirt, the other one had number 8. So they got to be centre midfielders. Went and introduced myself to everyone. These lads
I've come for your place, mate.
One shook his hand, crushed his knuckles in his hand.
These 2 were like big boys. One was like, I am Bez. The other one says, I'm Brillo. Nice to meet you. So we go out and do the fitness testing. And my thing's, right, I've got to beat the midfielders. So I'm there absolutely smashing it around a 400-metre track, absolutely pissing all over these 2 lads. I'm thinking, I've got these. They're big lads, but I can beat them, definitely. Yeah. Anyway, next day, go back into training, getting the balls out now. I'm like, where's Bez and Brillo? Look around with the goalkeepers. They'd done it in alphabetical order, so it was Dean Brill and Marlon Beresford. Mate. So I thought they're big lads, but I've got them in the running.
Yeah, just
got home and said to Emma, "This is going to be piece of piss.
I'm going to smash that. I'm going to run all over.
They can't even run this lot."
That's brilliant.
Yeah, mate. But I loved it. I was only there 6 months, but I loved it. The manager, who a lot of people I speak to have different thoughts about him, Kevin Blackwell. But for me, a young lad moving away from home
Did
for
I
the first
Kevin
time,
Blackwell?
loved him. I thought he was.
I've heard good things about him.
He looked after me so well. Him and a guy called Sam Ellis, who's assistant, they went out of their way to make sure that I was as comfortable as it could be possible living away from home, making sure I was always okay.
Where did you live, Dave?
I lived in a place called Flitwick, which is just north of Luton.
You living by yourself then?
Yeah. Well, I was in a hotel for about 2 months and I bought in Flitwick and lived there by myself. But yeah, they went out of their way, like every day, making sure when I was leaving training, you got stuff sorted for tonight, went out for food with them on loads of occasions.
But that went down well with the lads. Out with the gaffer.
With the gaffer. Oh, what a scene. I'd have been all over that.
I'll never look at you the same way, Dave.
He was out with the gaffer last night. Guess who sent him in Saturday? and he's on penalties. Shock.
But no, I enjoyed my time there. And then Reading was, I think I've said the story before about Reading, the first day. That was so different because even at Wolves, everyone's professional. Reading was on another level in terms of...
And that was Yapstam, wasn't it?
Yeah, in terms of player care, you know, like having everything you want as a player.
Yeah.
First conversations, kit man's come into me, he's like, right, what Under Armour do you wear? What leggings do you wear? Do you wear grip socks? Do you wear normal socks? Do you like your boots heated before training? All these sorts of things, yeah. So I'm like just kind of blown away with it.
Even
the
I'd have gone to town on that.
the nutritionist comes in and says...
Anything sexual? Man, or no, nothing? Okay.
Nutritionist
I just thought I'd ask.
comes over, on sports science guy comes over, says, what flavour protein drink do you want after? Do you want ice in it? Do you want no ice in it? All these sorts of things. And it kind of, I always felt Reading was a bit of a, not a soft club, but you feel very well looked after. And I think that kind of goes onto the pitch a little bit, but the facilities remains. But the first session, I spoke about it in the first series, I'm sure we did, when we go out, do the warm straight into circles, like you were saying, Gab. I was in the same box as Yapstam, give the ball away, went in the middle, Yapstam nutmegs me. First time in there, mate. Horrendous, mate. All the lads are in stitches, but he was a proper player.
I mean, it's quite intimidating to meet him, isn't it, for the first time, I'd imagine, because he's been such a star, and you're meeting him, like, are you buzzing? Are you excited to meet him a little bit, but obviously nervous as well?
Yeah,
you wouldn't impress him because he's been such a good player. You want to say, I'm decent.
Yeah, I'd heard amazing things about him. I knew Chris Gunter, who was there and with Wales, and he was saying, like, honestly, he's the best tactician you've ever played under. So I was really excited. You meet him. The size of him is fucking off-putting, and then massive, and he's just got that presence about him, a bit like your Dutch accent as well.
You'd have gone brilliant with him.
Is Gavin Van der Cowen, of course.
You two would have cleaned up on a night out.
You and yeah.
But tactically, he was so good. And as a player, like, he used to always join in the boxes, and you just see him just in general, just zinging passes everywhere, working on shit. He was so good.
That might be where the similarities differ between me.
But his first thing he said to me when we met, and I spoke to him on the phone briefly, but then we met after training on the first day. He kind of said to me, I said, "Oh, sort of, where'd you kind of see me playing?" He said, "I brought you in for legs." He said, "Got loads of lads who can play, but I need some legs in there." I said, "Oh, brilliant!"
Thanks, then. That's great.
Don't we touch the ball?
Just give the ball to the nearest man and run.
Yeah. So, but no, that was amazing. But it's more, as I said, you just had everything as a player. It was incredible.
Yeah, I tell you, when I signed for Northampton, and I don't know why, like John Gorman signed me, and I played a couple of times, and John Gorman was amazing. Like, he was assistant to Glenn Hoddle and that, wasn't he? He was class bloke. I loved him. And for whatever reason, he's given me the number 10 shirt. And I was like, whoa, ace and 10. I was like, mate, that's not, like, are you sure? He's like, number 10. So all the lads, like, but in fairness, right, he put me on, like, everything, because I was, like, left wing, number 10, but then he started playing me, like, a midfield 3. So, like, ended up somehow, the lads, like, weren't really sure, like, what I was all about. So I was on, like, free kicks and everything, like, at the start. I remember playing Norwich away.
How long did that last?
Well, let me tell you, one game. I played, like, Norwich away pre-season, and, like, I was on, like, wide free kicks. No, I wasn't on, like, shooting free kicks, but like, wide free kicks and corners. And I remember looking up there and going, like,
Carrow Road.
I don't think I've ever taken a corner in my life. And, like, obviously, like,
he's like, we have signed Sam Apson, haven't we? Sam Apson.
Everybody was like, so what are you like? But I think in training, because we've been doing 5-a-sides, and I was all right in the 5-a-side. The lads were thinking, he's like a bit of a, like, he's a bit of a Letizia, like, a bit of a Candor, sort of, like, in the whole sort of thing. You know, he's going to be a bit of a ball player, like, you know, like an old school,
like
an old school Madison and all that. And then after that, like, I got taken out of midfield. I was back on the left wing, like, Like I was off.
Nowhere near a set piece.
Nowhere near a set piece, like for or against. Like I was just back on the halfway line, so I was fast for corners, corners again, still on the halfway line. Just like I was on the wide free kick, still on the halfway line. I just thought I got that wrong. That was Northampton. That was funny.
Thought they signed Sam Ashton.
But when you sign for a new club, the manager will give you kind of loads because they've just signed you. They want to play you. They want to do well. So you feel like you're
never in a stronger position, are you, than when you've just signed?
No.
Because it's the gaffer signed, and he was amazing. Like he get like literally just give me everything, like free rolls and all that. And I was like, didn't last that long. That when I went to Tranmere as well, full of Scousers, like that was a bit of a culture shock. So I remember when I first night out, we'd gone out like about 3 or 4 days into it, and I had a wallet. All the Scouse lads like laughing their heads off. He's got a wallet. He's looking like buzzing because I've got a wallet. I was like, what have you got? And they all had these little clips, money clips. That's like, I was like, so you're hammering me.
It's no good if you've only got 30 quid in the money clip.
You're hammering me because I've got a wallet.
You got coins in there.
You got a money clip.
Sam's got one of them pouches and he's turning it upside down. Does anyone want to drink?
Like, what's all that about? And they were like buzzing off it. And I was like, no, I think like, I was like a bit older then. I was like, flipping neck, lads, you look terrible in that. So bye.
What wallet? It wasn't like a SpongeBob wallet or anything like that. Was it like a proper?
It was the same one I've got now. Still got me communion.
Yeah, brilliant.
But they were all the Scousers, and they like we had to sing a song. Like that's why my go-to was American Pie. So I like did the full like the 7 verses American Pie and that because when you're older you just lapped it up, didn't you? I'm like that, like whoa lads, I still haven't done the initiation. Lads at the hotel. What's happening here? Like I've got American Pie. You do
2 verses.
I've spent the last 6 drives in learning verse 5 and 6. Yeah, like lads, I'm ready to go. I'm like, can you tell the gaffer we need to do it?
You do 2 verses and they start clapping for you to finish. And you're like, whoa, I'm finished this song yet.
Whoa. I was like, wait, excuse me, love, come back here. You love this. Come and listen to this.
And needless to say, I used to love that one.
You're tapping the glass yourself.
Mate, I used to proper fancy myself being able to sing.
What was your song? You did Michael Jackson?
I'd do Stand By Me. Amazing Grace.
He got a concert for the lads.
Oh yeah.
Oh wait, lads, I'll give you 5 minutes to go to the toilet, comfort break, and I want you back in 5 minutes for the second set.
Guys, I will start without you. If you're not back, I will start without you. Oh, yeah.
Lads, you might want to get your phones out.
I used to proper lap it up. Yeah, very much like that. And I'll go last. We'll finish on a good one.
You want to do? Where do you sing? You must have had a sing.
Yeah, later on in my career though. I never did it at Shrewsbury, never did it at Luton, never did it.
We didn't get you singing at Shrewsbury.
Never did it at Wolves.
Why didn't we get you singing there?
First time I did it was with Wales, and I did it at Reading, Shrewsbury, Bala. I had to do it. So I'm not a big fan of it, but I can kind of just get up and get it done with. Yeah. I used to do Follow Me, Uncle Cracker. Is that it? Yeah, Follow Me. I have to play it.
Go on, Dan.
Where's it? Get my Spotify on here.
Yeah.
I can't believe we didn't get you to do that. Then we're probably getting you to do lots more horrible things, isn't it? I think we probably got bored. Singing was too kind. I think back in for us there.
It's like the initiation. It's not.
It's
like
more of a night out, wasn't it? Back at Shrewsbury.
Yeah.
Get yourself out. You charge the kitty all night, so you have to buy all the drinks. you don't sit down. You
take charge of the kitty. Who's got? Who have the whip round? No. So how's that working then?
Oh mate, flipping heck.
What else? Anybody else? Any other clubs?
When I left Shrewsbury, I had a couple of clubs. Like I think I had Bury, Macclesfield. Both clubs sort of reinvented now, aren't they? And I had another one, all sort of north, but like financially it wasn't viable. And I'd sort of made my mind up. I was leaving Shrewsbury, 6 months left of my contract, and I was like, obviously the Gary Peters thing had come to a head or whatnot, and we played against Wickham. At home, and I think they were flying at the time. They were top of the league. I played centre half with Kelvin. Again, we'd drawn 0-0 and had a really good game. And my agent called. He went, "Well done today." He said, "Listen, I know you're keen to sort of get off now. Really, got a club that's come in for you." I was like, "Yeah, the Bury thing. I'm not really. If it's gonna, I want to do something to improve." And he went, "Well, I've got one. Hear me out on this one." He's gone Grays Athletic. And I've gone, honestly, I'm all right, mate. And
what division are these in at the
time?
So
they were in the conference, and at the time, there was like a money guy in there, Mickey Woodward. You can Google him.
Mickey Woodward?
Yeah, Mickey Woodward, yeah. And the manager at the time...
to Edward Woodward?
No, definitely not. But he was the owner of the club, let's say. And Grays is obviously in Essex, so I'm from Essex, not far from there. And I just thought, I was like, nah, I'm not interested. And then he told me what the financial package was, and I was like, oh, flipping heck, like 3-year deal. I mean, this was like big money, really. And I was like, oh, okay, well, I'll listen. And then Andy King was the guy who was the manager. And then, so anyway, it was all agreed. I was like, really wanted to go. I wanted to get it done, and I thought I could move home. You know, I sort of put an end to this sort of like confrontation with Gary Peters, blah, blah, blah. Flipping financially, this is absolutely brilliant. Long-term contract, not having to scratch around every year. Brilliant. And went alongside, and I remember we were at the ground, got to the ground, and he was like, yeah, don't worry about all this. Don't worry about this. We're going to be having a new ground. I was like, is that in the next 3 years? Like, because it was, Grays isn't a great ground. And he went, but at the time, obviously, you got Aaron McLean playing up front and like really good players. And I'd spoken to a lad I know called Lee Boylan, who I'd played with at Canvey. What's it like there, mate? Because obviously he went, mate, it's brilliant. Which obviously in the end, flipping tries to grab Busy in the car park. I was absolutely fuming with him because it turned out to be an absolute nightmare. But I remember the first problem I had was I turned up, sat down with the chairman. He went, well, I've got you. He said, obviously happy with the contract? I was like, oh yeah, absolutely, like really good. And he went, what we could do is could give you 500 quid on your contract and the rest of it could be in cash. So the alarm bells started going. I was like, whoa, no. Like, like, to be fair, at that point, Gary Peters had sort of transformed.
Good luck with that when you get injured, isn't it?
I was like, yeah. And he went,
have you got that cash from you, mate?
But, well, this is where it got to, and he done the whole, oh, right, so you don't want to go down that route? I was like, not really, Mickey, no. Like, I hope you respect that. He went, oh, you obviously don't trust me then. And I was like, well, to be honest, Mickey, I've just met you, and the only person I trust in this world is my mum. Obviously wasn't with my missus at the time. And he's like, right, well, okay, well, we know where we stand then, don't we? Got up and walked out. So I turned to the agent and went, I don't know if this is a good idea. Then they went, I will give you time to move. Come in the next day, played against Tuesday night on Sky against Ebbsfleet, got beat 2-0. Day off on the Wednesday, come in, all the lads are carrying on as normal. I hadn't got a clue what's going on. One of the lads will be like, obviously a bit of a nightmare for you with you just signing. I was like, what? It was only one defeat. Like, flipping hell, we'll get over it. He went, no, the gaffer's been sacked. And I didn't have a clue. I hadn't seen it anywhere or anything like that. And Justin Edinburgh then took over. Went to Justin. Any chance? He went, well, don't worry, Gav, you were my signing. And then, literally, I remember being at training, my first training session. I had one red sock on, one blue sock. We were in the middle of a school field with an electric pylon above us. And I was just like, went to Lee Boylan, like in the training session, are you taking the piss? And he was like, no, honestly, mate, give it time. I was like, give it time? There's an electric pylon as a goal there. I've got one red sock on, one blue sock. And it was like, it was a 3-year deal. It lasted 8 months. And if I could have got out of there sooner, I would have done. But I remember going in there, the changing room was poison. Yeah, there wasn't much good going on there. There was a couple of lads who got on quite well, and they were the old clique, but anyone new coming in, we were regarded as wrong.
I wouldn't say any of the dressing rooms, like I was in, like every club, like, they had a proper good set of lads. I think it's rare to find, like, a real bad group of lads, isn't it? Because if you've got 25 lads together, you're always going to get one or two nuggets.
It depends how
maybe I've been a bit lucky.
How many of you've got those ones that are not great, and how much of a impact they have on other lads as well.
The majority of the change room I was in were brilliant. There was only one or two, but yeah.
Right then, lads, enjoyed that.
Wowza.
First days, eventful. I think the biggest thing is sort of to summarise and takeaways. Everybody's nervous, and it's funny how people sort of front up in that, isn't it? But a big part of it is it's a massive test, isn't it?
Sink or swim.
Feel the fear and do it anyway.
It stands in good stead for life, doesn't it? I said when I became a teacher, and then I remember when I was an 8th.
What about that, teacher. Sam? So your first day teacher?
Yeah. So like the first day, I mean, it's exciting, though, a million miles away. But obviously I was a bit older than one. So you're different, but you're still nervous. Yeah. Like do your first assembly or whatever, and you're nervous, and it's in a different way. But because you're a different age, you can cope with it more. Because I've had so many times where you've walked in and you've been nervous and you have to front up. You feel those nerves, but you can handle them.
Yeah.
Like now, if I have to do something, like when we did the live event, we probably all felt a bit nervous, but we were sort of all right. We're coping with the nerves a little bit, weren't we? Because you're used to them. That's why you want to have those nerves. I think you can handle it. I
say to my kids, like, welcome them. Like a lot of people, like fight or flight. That whole thing is. I just try and say, look, that's excitement. Don't.
So, some people never feel that in their life. I remember Bobby Saxon going. Some people will never feel that in their life. I remember before my debut, I was playing against Ipswich for Sunday. He went, enjoy that feeling, Sam. Some people will go their whole lives and not have that feeling because they're never not trying to do anything, not taking a risk, nothing doing exciting. So it's a good thing, and it does stand in good stead for life. Whatever you do in business meetings or at schools, I remember like we have Ofsted. If you're anybody who's in education know about Ofsted, so like they're saying, oh yeah, you're crying, you're NQT, yeah, Sam. And I was thinking, well, I probably won't. Like I'm 34 years of age. It's gonna have to be something. And Ofsted will come in, you'll be petrified, and I'm like, not really. Like bring it on.
In management, the one that I remember was when I'd just taken charge at Telford. And it was the opening day of the season.
You talk about first days. That'd be interesting.
That's a hard one. I bet managers. Go on, we've got a bit of time. Tell us that.
Sorry,
did you go from playing to management?
So I went.
Did you have a bit of time out?
I went from playing to player coach at Solihull, and then I went to coach at Telford, and then was like I got the job when Rob Edwards left.
Yeah.
So your first day walking in to speak to the lads.
Yeah,
the
new manager.
I'll be honest. That was a walk in the park for me. I felt good all through pre-season because there's nothing on the line.
And you'd been a player there though.
No. I'd gone in as a coach, and I think like I retained a bit of the squad, but I'd brought my own players in.
Did you come in and do a speech?
Yeah. Sort of really.
Hi, I'm Gavin. Gavin
Hey guys.
You could say how you keep that going.
Yeah. No, I didn't go down that route. But no, you have to outline your core values, don't you? Like what it is that you represent, what you expect from the players, and I did that, and I think that came across really well. I mean, certainly in my first season there before the pandemic hit, like we really hit the ground running, and we understood that we probably had what was the worst budget in the league, I would say. Which, I know now for a fact, and we'd sort of the staff really sacrificed their wages, as did I, to try and put into the playing budget to try and make it a success. And it was a brilliant year; it was amazing. But I think what was really important was we'd set out to try and be the most professional, semi-professional team in the country. And we sort of said to the lads, look, we want you to buy into it, but we bought into them as players as well, and they could see what we were trying to do, and it was brilliant. But I remember the big one for me was the opening day of the season. And obviously Telford's a lovely ground, New Buckshead's a lovely ground there, and the supporters will come out. If they've got optimism, they'll come out in their drones. And it was quite packed, and we played Southport on the opening day. And I remember just getting there.
Nervous, or?
Yeah, I got there earlier. I was the first one at the ground, even like waiting for the guy to open it up. Yeah, put my steward's coat on. But I remember walking around and thinking, yeah, I'm nervous now, like, because it's like we're not playing pre-season.
More nerve-wracking as your first day as a manager than you would be for your first day as a player.
It's out of your control at this point, though.
Yeah,
you'll give your pre-match talk, but the work's done,
which was all done in my head. All the work was done, and what I wanted them to do is like anything really. Like obviously, you have a game strategy that you put in place, and we worked really hard on how we wanted to play, and had done our due diligence on the opposition and all of the above. But I wanted them to represent that hard work that you put in, and I wanted them to funny, when you're a player, it's all this like fight for the shirt, and there's obviously you buy into that a lot, but there's a little bit of eye rolling in there, like, oh, we're fucking fighting for the shirt, yeah, good one. And then when you're a manager, like you buy into the whole thing, and you have to. Like, you two know me well, and I if I'm going to do something, I buy into it massively, and I did. And I remember the whistle was going, and I remember really trying to be present, and like I looked around the whole ground, I took all the supporters in the stand, and I really tried to suck in all of that energy, and thought, again, like you said there's not many people who would get this opportunity to stand here in front of, I think it must have been close to 2,000 people on the day, opening day of the season. It was boiling hot. The players were prepped, strong, fit. Oh, I felt so honoured. Yeah, it was, honestly, I felt 10 feet tall, but extremely nervous, and it was a really tight game, and we won 1-0, and the feeling was
afterwards,
just...
The win as a manager must be a lot better than a player.
Yeah, but it's when you lose, it's like the hardest thing in the world. You've got to have broad shoulders, which I have, to be fair. I am blessed with that, like being able to stay focused and constant, blocking out the noise. But it was a brilliant day. But I remember when we talk about first days, your first competitive match as a football manager, I played for the club as well, captained the club. And it was like, I really bought into it and wanted to do well. And yeah, it was a great day. But again, the nerves were like mad. I remember, and again, fronting it up, stood there, shook the opposition's manager's hand. Guys, all right. And obviously your players are looking to you, aren't they? They are looking at you and going, right, what are we doing today? And I'm like, right, we'll be aggressive. We'll be on the front foot. We're the home team. We're going to be attacking. We're going to we're going to put our lives on the line, but we're going to stay focused. I used to say to the players, cool, calm, calculated and cold. That's what we're going to be. And yeah, it was it's a brilliant day, one I'll never forget.
Nice.
Good one to finish on.
Yeah.
Right then, well done, lads. Enjoyed that.
Yeah.
Next week we've got Michael Bridges coming up.
Get in there.
It's a good one, that, isn't it?
What
Dave,
class
Dave
act
wasn't
he was.
there for that, though, was he?
Wasn't invited to that one.
Will anybody listen next week with Dave not?
I don't think so. Right. We'll have to do extra promotion.
Michael Bridges is good.
Yeah, he's quality.
Fans, Newcastle fans.
I've listened to
fans.
it. It's really good.
And we had a couple
I grew up with him.
Yeah, and
good lad.
He looked after us when we were up there, didn't he? Flipping
we had a
heck.
few beers.
Didn't pay a penny, did we?
We weren't going to come
Give
on.
us a bit of his background, Sam. The clubs he's played.
We nearly moved to Whitley Bay.
He used to play against me for school teams. I was better than him at school. We played for Sunderland together, and our careers were just exactly the same, intertwined until he signed for Leeds for 5 million, and I signed for Shrewsbury for 50 grand. And then he didn't speak to me for 3 years. I would bring them all the time. Richie, then he got injured. Then he signed for Carlisle.
He left you a voicemail.
Then he rang me again because I was playing for Tranmere at the time, so I was better than him. And then he's been out in Australia. A great lad, like dead humble, loads of fun.
They proper looked after us up there. We didn't want to come home, did we?
He played in a great Leeds team.
Yeah.
They were like flying in the. I mean, he was top scorer one. He was Thierry Henry and everything. He was top scorer for Leeds. Played in the Champions League. Played in the Cup Winners' Cup, didn't he? He had a
amazing,
fantastic career.
Oh wow!
Then he got time up in Willie Bay, didn't we?
Amazing.
We got driven up there, didn't we? We had a few beers and a few more beers.
We were like, we'll just take it easy because we've got to obviously get back. And then me and Sam were like, we'll just stay overnight. We're good at like that, aren't we? We're good at.
I'm good at that.
Staying focused and stuff after a beer.
We were in Bridges' mate's bar, wasn't he? So we were trying out all Bridges' new all his new
one
beers
named after his dad, his late dad, was it? Which was
Joe's,
brilliant.
Whatever, Joe's Bitter or something.
Yeah.
I had 13 pints of that. We did well to get home, didn't we?
Managed to FaceTime me on the way back.
Yeah.
That was good. That must have been lovely for you, Dave. That,
It's been nice to have the clock in the morning.
I don't think we were incoherent.
I loved that. I was like, that was a really nice conversation. Listen to Sam and Gav there.
Just shouting down the phone. But again, brilliant podcast though. So insightful. Adversity through his injury, going out to Australia. Some of the stories on Newcastle.
Some good stories from back in the day. I mean, he's best mate with Alan Shearer, isn't he? Really good mate with Alan Shearer, which is a bit of a hero of mine. So it's definitely worth listening to that one next week. It's a belter.
Amazing.
Anything else? If you want, Gav, subscribe.
Yeah, if you want to contact
YouTube.
us, we are on all social.
On YouTube.
I'm just trying to say it now.
No, but, like, how many subscribers have we got? Why are we pushing?
Have you heard of Ben
more?
Smith?
Can we get? Is he a YouTuber?
Yeah.
How can we start pushing the YouTube? I've already made all my stuff at school.
If you go on YouTube and type in the Stiffs, we'll be there. Please subscribe.
Are people subscribing anymore? Can we
that's what I'm trying to say now.
Can we get Wits to check them?
I'm trying to explain now, but you keep interrupting.
800 subscribers on YouTube. That's pretty good.
We need over 1,000.
Putting out enough content. We're not.
If we get,
what do we need to do?
If we get over 1,000, we've
got to do
a giveaway, haven't we?
Can I do one of me and be top off working out in the garage? That'll bump it up.
That'll get us to 800.
Get that on. What you call it? I'll do an exclusive one. Is it Patreon or whatever you call it? What's the one where OnlyFans? I'll do one for YouTube, and then I'll put on a link to. I'll do one on OnlyFans for
the subscribers.
You can subscribe to my OnlyFans.
I was say for females, but I'm not bothered about that. Males or females,
all inclusive.
Yeah, exactly.
My OnlyFans is already up and running, so you can subscribe to that whenever you want. But YouTube,
Gavin Van der Cowan
on OnlyFans.
That's how you get in touch. Gavin Van der Cowan on OnlyFans.
Blonde highlights, vest.
Definitely.
Right, you can go on YouTube, type in the Stiffs, subscribe, please. We'd love to get over 1,000. So if everyone could do that, Dave will give his Tesla away. If we get over 1,000 subscribers, Dave will give his Tesla away.
Dave will donate his Tesla to one lucky winner. Well, is that?
That'll be all right, Dave.
No. Oh no. That's
okay.
not true.
No, it's not. Yeah,
you have to delete that bit. Just in case.
So subscribe on YouTube on all platforms, Spotify, Apple, etc. www.innerstiffs.co.uk. All social media platforms @innerstiffs. And then innerstiffs@gmail.com for email.
Message us as well, isn't it? I mean, I've obviously been busy back at work. I'm like, but I
loads of people giving us brilliant feedback. Really appreciate that, guys.
If you do want to like
at S. Aston.
Your messages.
He's building his own brand now for his podcast awards.
OnlyFans.
Go do a separate one for me on the end. At S. Aston, OnlyFans. In the hashtag in the gym. Hashtag naked.
Vote. Hashtag vote Aston. You wouldn't want to see that. Listen, you would not want to see that. It is horrible. You ain't getting any subscribers on OnlyFans. I'm telling you now.
Right.
I was going to say something then. I was going to say something really important. I was going to say something really important then, but I can't remember what it is now. please send messages on social media. They will flash up on all of our phones. We're all connected. So if you put a really positive message, then please do so, because we'll all get it. It might not all reply to it, but yeah, if you could put anything positive up, any feedback, we welcome any feedback, positive or negative, hopefully positive.
I won't welcome any negative feedback.
Yeah. Just delete it, so it makes it look really good on our Twitter.
I'll delete it if I couldn't be able to probably respond.
Yeah.
I've had a few more, probably. I've tried to find where he lives.
Yeah.
Just so you know.
So, yeah, brilliant episode. Can't wait for Bridgie next week. And keep if you haven't done so already, we've had 2 previous
have we mentioned
episodes.
about subscribing on YouTube?
We finished the podcast about 8 minutes ago.
Yeah. Ben Smith's on YouTube.
Right.
Right.
Bye.
See you next week.
See ya.
Ta-ra.